Hey now, hey now. Welcome into another episode of How in the Hell Do We Be Positive About This Team?
Can't stop addicted to the shindig.
Oh, hey everybody. You know the drill. You know where to find us on social media. You know it's the Pucknologists. Do the like and subscribe. I don't even want to do this anymore. All right. So what had happened was the schedule makers have a delightful and devilish sense of humor. They have the Sharks face the 30th and 31st teams in the league before playing the team that would start and finish the week at number one. Sharks go 1-2 this week, losing to Nashville, beating Chicago, then losing to Washington. Also tonight, we're going to read into those comments from Eklund and Grier following the trade and on the rebuild. Evidently, a fan tried to square off with Sharkie. I mean, sure. Round one of Celebrini versus Bedard goes to San Jose. Couture misses a photo day and sets social media ablaze.
So dumb.
I'm telling you, dude. A little prospect information coming down the pipe. Some things to say about Warsofsky and the coaching staff of the Barracuda and more. But first, we're going to begin with Nashville. Georgiev getting the start for this. I have no idea why that was the case. Unless
I don't know anymore.
is that a case of like, well, come on. If we put Romanov in, that might actually help us. I don't know. Pashelka called this what he said was what he believed to be the smallest crowd of the season. And it's like, well, the 30th team versus the 32nd team on a Tuesday following the deadline, no promotion. And it's the same story as usual. Sharks PK isn't good. Georgiev is worse, and the Sharks lose it in the third period. Good news, Giles got his first ever. Huge brain fart from Georgiev. And Bellows gets his first of the season in just his seventh game. So I guess there's that. It's just the perfect game-winning goal to encapsulate Georgiev's season. Like, 10 the goal.
Yep.
Just 10 it. And it's another one-goal loss. Seventh straight game that the Sharks allowed a power play goal. And the thing I enjoyed was the post-game, where Al was being Mr. Optimist, as everybody who's part of the broadcast, they always lean optimistic, which I get it. Nobody wants to tune into the broadcast and go, "Yep, it's going to need another suck fest tonight, guys." But he goes, "Hopefully Georgiev finds his game in these final 15 tilts." And I always loved Remenda's response to that was, "Who hit it? Where'd he lose it? How's he going to find it?" And in the postgame, you had Graf giving 2 minutes of cliche answers, and I get it because people are asking the same questions because these games keep going the same way. And as Brody pointed out, it was the 33rd game played that was decided by a single goal during Game 66. For those of you bad at math, that's half the season. So, yeah, shitty game to start the week.
I don't know, man. Like, it's... I feel like we could just, like... It's gotten to the point this season where we could take clips from previous shows and just make this a clip show and no one would know the fucking difference.
You got it.
Like, that's how this team is played. And it's fun trying to figure out new and exciting ways to break this team down. I mean, you summed it up perfectly in your rundown. I mean, I don't know what else I could possibly add. It's all these things are true.
Right.
I mean, Georgiev's going to try and find his game in the KHL next season, and good riddance. I don't know, man. Like, fuck, I don't know. Like, again, like, this team is so bad. And
Super.
We expect it to be bad at this point, right? The trade deadline's over. Lots of guys were moved out, and a lot of new guys are here. And they're fine, I guess. But, like, I don't know. We'll talk about the Barracuda later, but everyone that was hoping like some of those guys would get a sniff of the NHL, that's not happening. They've already, Mike Grier might as well just put them all on a ship and kick them out to sea without a paddle at this point.
You know, it's funny you say that, though, because Boyle on the broadcast last night, former Sharks defenseman Dan Boyle, was talking about, so now's the time to start bringing CUDA guys in. And I'm like going, why?
For who?
Yeah. For who? For what? What for? Don't.
I mean, and they still might. Like, there's, what did you say? How many games left?
I don't
15,
know.
14?
Something like that. I don't know.
I mean, so there's still time. I mean, they've got guys that they could send through waivers, I guess, and assign to the Barracuda for a bit and bring other guys up. But I mean, again, like, is it gonna make a dent? I don't know, man. Like, I think when you look at a lot of the guys that they brought in, it just doesn't seem like. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong on this, but it seems like Mike Grier doesn't think much of what's currently on the Barracuda, with the exception of probably a couple players. Like, I think he likes Jack Thompson a lot. We've seen him, up this year. I think they just needed some size on the blue line, so they bring in a guy like Desharnais. But I don't know, man. Like, it's not good. And then the Barracuda didn't do themselves any favor this weekend either, which we'll get into later.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, one of the problems that the Sharks have had for most of the season is putting the puck in the net. Podorowski doesn't seem to have much of a problem doing that. Maybe you call him up once in a while. I don't know.
I think, and even other guys, like the usual suspects that you would normally say, get a shot, I think have all done plenty of putting pucks in the net. Tom Sportle has continued putting pucks in the net.
Boyle called out Cagnoni last night, saying he'd like to see him come up.
Yeah, you could, but I think the blue line's pretty set right now unless someone gets injured. But like, Dino Lushkin, he's a guy who's been scoring goals. I think he might have more, I think he has more goals this year than he's ever put up in the AHL so far. He's still behind on points, but there's guys that have also put up other pucks that probably factor into the future of things. Like, I like Podorowski, but like, Podorowski is not the future.
No, not by any stretch. All right.
And I don't mean any disrespect to him by that. Those are just facts.
Yeah. Georgiev would get another start coming against Chicago. Again, I have to ask, I didn't hear any of the beat guys ask, so that's not to say that they did or they didn't ask, but I would have loved to have heard one of them say, why is Romanov not starting?
Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, look at Georgi Romanov's making NHL money right now, which is very nice when you live in the Bay Area. But I was surprised that you play Nashville, you play Chicago, and he doesn't get either of those games.
Yeah. How does that not happen? And how many straight games has Georgiev started?
It's been a lot,
like 7 or 8 or something. Like, how do you not? I was dumbfounded that when he didn't get the call versus Nashville, I wrote him in on Wednesday, okay, he'll start tomorrow, because that would have made the most sense. And we'll get to some other Warsawski decisions in a little bit, but I tried to be a little sarcastic about it. So, maybe because this one's a 4-point game. Because Chicago is battling with San Jose, and I don't know, Romanov could give you a better chance to win it. I don't know.
I don't think it matters who they put in it at this point. Like, I like Georgi Romanov, and I think that he should get it. He should get an opportunity to play, considering like this is once the Sharks are done, his season's over.
Yeah, well, I think you can say that for both these goalies.
For sure, but I mean, his season's over. But his season's over for sure because he can't go the playoffs, right?
Yeah,
his season's done. So I mean, yeah, and again, he's making
give him some nice. Give him some games, for fuck's sakes. What are you worried about?
I don't think there's I like Georgi Romanov, but I don't think there's an NHL goalie there. I don't think he's better than Georgiev by any stretch. I think we'll talk about the Washington game, but there was some softness there for sure.
Oh yeah. So either way, so the Chicago game, it's the first time Celebrini sees Bedard finally, because all the other times somebody was injured or whatever. We also had the return of Noah Gregor, I guess, finally getting through customs. And so, of course, the Sharks win because, when Gregor's out there, that's what happens. But it's a rare game where the Sharks get a lead and actually keep it. And despite all the hype, or I should say lack thereof locally for Celebrini versus Bedard, you had Collin Graf kind of stealing the spotlight along with Will Smith. You got, 2 goals for Graf, including the game winner. You got a goal and an assist from Smith. Celebrini, Eklund, and Toffoli all coming through with assists. Plus, Toffoli with another empty net goal. And I'm like, oh, shit, another sleepover. Here it comes.
Yeah, here we go.
But in a rare game where the special teams worked in the Sharks' favor. So it's like, I'm like, don't you guys want first overall? Why would you win this?
Because Chicago's equally bad, and they've equally torn huge chunks of their roster off of their team at the trade deadline too. So I again, like, they're gonna win. They're gonna win going down the stretch. Like, I don't think they're gonna completely lose out. So I'm not gonna get mad that they beat the Blackhawks. Like, is it ideal? No, but like, again, like, they're gonna win, right? Like,
yeah,
they're not gonna lose out 14 games. I mean, they might, but statistically, it's unlikely.
I'm saying it. So for the Chicago game, good on Goodrow for as much as I've dumped on the guy. For defending Celebrini's honor.
Yeah.
Still, though, that's the most we've seen from Goody all season. During the post-game, Warsofsky on Goodrow said, Goodrow's done it all year. We have some other guys that can do it, so I give a lot of credit to Goodrow. He's been a great veteran for this team. He's a true pro in every sense of the word. He gives you everything he's got every single night. He's going to show up, sticks up for his teammates. I love him. He's just a heart and soul guy. And I'm, of course, as most people know, a very two things can be true.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, I'm sure all of those things are true. The other thing that is true is that nobody else is paying a fourth liner $3.5 million. And I get
Sharks didn't sign that contract though, so I can't really.
Well, but they brought it here.
Sure, they did. They have to hit the floor.
Yeah. And it's like, and I get the intangibles debate, but there's return on investment. And
there's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, the cap hit doesn't bother me because, again, this is a team that has to maintain a cap floor. And they didn't sign the contract. Like, this isn't a Mike Grier didn't go out and sign Barclay Goodrow to almost $4 million. It's fine. It was the dummies in New York that did that.
Post-game, though, Connor Bedard said he was a little surprised by the 10-minute misconduct penalty for abuse of the officials. Let's hear from Connor.
Or non-tripping call, or was it once you got back to the bench?
I don't know. I don't remember. Probably when I got to the bench. I feel like the play was still going on.
Did you think what you said was that egregious?
No, I didn't think it was too crazy, but I mean, obviously I'm not. He's a ref, so he gets to make that call. So you gotta live with it.
Were you surprised to be sent to the box?
A little, I guess. Yeah. I mean, you don't really, expect that, but it happens. So yeah.
How tough is that sitting there for 10 minutes while your team's chasing a one-goal lead like that?
Yeah, obviously it's not too fun. So I got to be smarter with my words there, and obviously I'm supposed to be out there in those situations. So it's frustrating to have to watch.
So I love the fact I got to watch those I got to be better in those situations and blah, blah, blah. And then the very next game gets another 10-minute misconduct.
Yeah.
Like, how surprising was that one?
I think he's had a tough go this year. I think the Blackhawks have had a tough go this year. I think they made moves that they thought were going to try and bring them a step forward, and they haven't taken a step at all. And I think that's probably hard. And I think that's the fear that you probably have for the Sharks next year, right? Is that if they have another season like this one, everyone's all like, oh, it's so much, everyone's having so much fun. Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith are having so much fun. Do another season of this and we'll see how much fun they're having.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we could very, very easily be having the same conversations in San Jose next year.
And if that's the case, somebody very high up needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Just saying. The other funny thing about this is just a side note from me actually going to the game, is while I'm walking around the concourse, I like to have my fun, as you know. I like to poke a little fun here and there. And I run into Brody Brazil on the concourse, who has this enormous hand, and it has a sign that says high fives. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's a promo thing. We're doing giving away like some high five experiences for the game tonight, where the fans will sit near the entrance and high five the players. And I was like, okay, but I'm just letting you know, I'm going to frame it that you were on the concourse giving out hand jobs at this game. I hope you don't mind that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, because technically it's true. It's accurate. Yeah. But anyway. Finally, we get to the Washington game. Again, Georgiev getting a start. Whatever.
They're gonna kill him. Like he's not gonna make it to Rush. He's gonna die in San Jose.
Yeah. Ostapchuk made his debut, so there's that. Kovalenko got scratched in this one, and then our boy Pashelka did a whole article about it today, saying that will he be part of the future? And well, he's a 25-year-old, and he's brought something. And I'm like, well, they just let go of a 25-year-old in Zetterlund, so I don't know that his age means anything, but okay. So you follow Bedard coming to town with Ovi coming to town. Again, would have liked to have seen a little more hype about that from the locals, but few things in this one. Graf's stick blatantly held, no call. I thought Remenda was like going to throw something on the ice. He was like, he was kind of losing it. But it took the Sharks 10 minutes to register their first shot on goal. Like at that point, it was like, oh yeah, this could get ugly. This is going to suck. And then they allow 2 more in the final 3 minutes of the first period. And I go, oh fuck, here we go. Mm-hmm. Like this could be another 10-goal game. Like, so that's literally where I was at. I was worried about it. But Celebrini got one back. An amazing play from Toffoli, and Celebrini just finding the wide, open space. And just, so it was, I don't want to say it was borderline like Thornton finding Marlowe from the glass, but it was just great.
It was really nice.
Yeah, great play. But then, everybody pissed that fire out when JVR banked it off Romanov, and it was like, talk about bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck, soft. I mean, just not good. I mean, this game, I did the after dark for this game with Puck Guy, and like, my thoughts are still the same. Like that first period was probably one of the most embarrassing performances that we've seen them play this year. And look, the Washington Capitals are obviously a good team. They were last I looked, they were tied for first in the league with the Jets. Like this team has obviously done a lot of winning this year, but like the Sharks, man, they just looked pathetic. Like they just, you'd think like, momentum is not a thing for this team. Obviously we've seen that for a while now, but you'd think they'd have like a little, like, you get a win against Chicago. You'd think you'd have like a little more wind in your sails, but like the Sharks in matinee games find a worse combination.
Well, that's the weird thing, is that they either come out guns and blazing, or they come out like they took Ambien an hour before warm up.
It was bad. Like just embarrassing.
Yeah, because there was that game a couple years ago. It was 1 o'clock start, Martin Luther King Day, and you get Timo Meyer scoring 5 goals. Mm-hmm. Just blowing LA out of the building, and then you get something like this. But Ovi, of course, had to make the score sheet. So number 887 for him to make it 5-1, and that would be your final. But the thing that got me was the postgame.
Yeah.
And Tucker is saying, is Ian muted? Can barely hear anything he is saying. I can hear you great. So I'm not sure.
Fighting something. So like you could probably tell I'm coughing like every 10 minutes. There's something going on. My throat's pretty hoarse from coughing all day. So it's probably just my voice, and I do apologize for that.
AJ projects too much. Post game, Warsaw was asked, what is the overall message for this team? And his response was, we're a few days from that. What the hell does that mean?
Did he just misunderstand the question?
Yeah, I was kind of like, was the answer incomplete because you didn't really hear the question? Like, what are we talking? Like, give me some context here. And, you know, I wasn't a fan when he was named head coach. I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of silly to promote somebody from the staff that you just fired. You know, I probably wouldn't have had a problem with him being named the head coach of the CUDA, but that's just simply because anything I think at this point is better than McCarthy.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I haven't been impressed by all of his choices. You know, it was a couple of weeks ago, goes to OT. He put out a really stupid group and they lost within like 30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah.
You know, and then the following game, he put out the group that we all said he should have played in earlier, and then they ended up winning. Not that that means anything, but and then I hear his snippy answers and his contempt and condescension towards the media. And like, you know, if you're Torts and you got a bubbling personality and you're winning or whatever, then okay, that'll fly. But when you're the worst in the league,
When
no.
has Torts done any winning lately, though?
He hasn't, but it's
But he does have a couple. Like,
yeah, well, I was going to say he's got the reputation already versus the youngest guy in the league, you know, who's just done nothing so far in the NHL. So, and you know, Sutter didn't have a lot of fans either, but he also ended up, you know, with a couple of cups. Ron Wilson, T-Mac DeBoer, you know, I thought they were fine. I thought Bugner and Quinn showed a lot of honest humility at times. The contempt Warsaw displays is tilting fans that I talk to. Like, they're getting a little like, you know, what is this dude's problem?
I think it's probably there's probably an element of that, but I think that this is what, year 7 of no playoffs at this point. Like, I think I think that he would grate on, like, I'm not saying that he's been perfect on dealing with the media, dealing with fans, whatever. I just think that I don't know if anyone would be good in this position now when a team has been losing for 7 seasons straight.
Yeah, but you know, Quinn didn't have a problem with it. But anyway, I
But everyone
digress.
was happy to fire Quinn into the sun too.
Yeah, but my point being, it's like, you know, look, I understand you maybe a little snippy, but you know, the media is doing their job. So like, you know, maybe cut them a break if you expect to be cut one. Do you have anything more from the games this week before we move on?
No, I mean, again, like, I just think, you know, I think Ostapchuk standing up to Tom Wilson, like, I like that, obviously. Didn't play a whole bunch. I think he played like 7 minutes that game. So I like the fact that, you know, he stood up to Tom Wilson, even if Tom Wilson absolutely bodied him. But other than that, yeah, that Washington game was fucking terrible.
Yeah, he's gonna learn.
Yeah,
It's a learning experience, baby.
But I do like it. I do like that he stood up, and I like that. Who was it that got into it with Pierre-Luc Dubois after he ran Will Smith, but Luc Dubois didn't want any? I like that too. Like, there was some things, like, as embarrassing as this game was, like, I think that, you know, maybe it was Desharnais, but Desharnais, like, again, like, they had to bring a guy in like that in because I think this blue line just doesn't have enough oomph to it.
No. The biggest thing about the blue line is Ferraro's afro.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So, I want to revisit the Zetterlund trade a little bit now.
Oh man, I don't have a voice for this week, but okay, let's go.
So, just because a few quotes have since come down the pipe, and Chris pointing out, I'm not judging him on losing to Tom Wilson. No, neither are we.
Neither am I. Like, I like that he stood up to him.
Yeah. So from Everyday Sens, they put out a quote that said, Mike Grier did not want to trade Zetterlund. Ottawa went back at least 3 to 4 times to keep pecking at him because they had Zetterlund in their crosshairs. Grier wanted a bigger package involving Josh Norris, but the Sens kept persisting. And then over that, it was, I'm so excited about Zetterlund. Dreger said Staios kept calling Grier about him until he finally folded. So two questions, of course. Number one, you know, letting someone peck at you like this. I don't, you know, how this all came to be. This does not paint Mike Grier in a good light.
No, it doesn't, right? And
like, if you just keep calling the guy, he'll capitulate.
Well, I look at it. It's about time someone did to this team what Doug Wilson had done to other teams for years.
But it's like, how do you not say, look, it's Norris or nothing, like it's Norris or don't call me if that's what the case is. But man, just hearing like, Steos just kept bugging him until Grier said like, okay, I have to change my number or just like make this deal, and it's easier to make the deal. Like,
It certainly doesn't make me feel any better about the trade.
no. Why not?
I don't want to. I'm not going to rehash it from last week. If you want like long, in-depth, angry thoughts, last week's show has them all. I'm not going to completely rehash it because I don't have the voice for it today. I can't afford to get angry because I'll just lose my voice halfway through the show. Look, this doesn't make me feel any better about the trade. I don't like that Mike Grier got talked down to Ostachuk. Look, maybe Ostachuk's going to turn into something. I don't think so. He's very keen on him. A lot of people were saying like, Mike Grier said X and Y and Z about him. And I'm like, yes. And he also says the same things about guys like Luke Cunnin and Barclay Goodrow. So I don't know, guys. Like,
well, and I like,
you know what I mean?
I appreciate Dave's point here. It's like, how the fuck do you get Ostachuk when the starting point was Norris?
Yeah, like that is a drop off, man.
Dude, that's a query. That's a pickle.
Yeah. Like, and I like Josh Norris too, but like Josh Norris, the problem with Josh Norris has been that he can't stay healthy. So,
dude, he's got the Tristan Robbins disease.
Yeah, like I think he was like I think he played a couple of games in Buffalo and went on the IR again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like I don't like this. Like so, even Josh Norris for Zetterlund, like at least that's a trade where I can kind of like I can go and okay, I can see it, right? Like
sure.
I can see what you're trying to do there.
And it's also kind of a middle finger to Doug Wilson
100%.
to get Josh Norris.
But you know what I mean? Like, but to get talked down to Ostachuk, and I feel bad saying that because like this is a human being we're talking about, obviously. But but
we're not talking about the human being.
Correct.
We're talking about the player. It's
like I don't understand what they see. I don't understand the ceiling they think he has. Again, I am giving him he gets a clean slate with me. I am going to let him play, and I will judge based on the play. I'm not going to let the Zetterlund thing completely cloud my judgment of him. I think there's a couple things from the game he did that I liked. Obviously, like standing up Tom Wilson, that's good. That's points for you with me. At this point, but like it's not good. I even if you have the most teal tinted glasses, trademark, I don't know how you could spin that as a good thing. Like that Mike Grier did a good thing.
Yeah, well, it will be one of the things that we will talk about for the next few seasons, and we'll see how he develops because that will be something 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Remember they traded Zetterlund, who was doing really well, but if this does not pan out, and if it doesn't pan out, there's a whole bunch of scouts that Grier like named, talking about like, these scouts and this scout, and they're really impressed. They really like this guy's game and everything. So if they whiff this hard, maybe you need to take a look at your scouts, but. We also have some quotes from Eklund following this whole thing. And before we get into these, let me just say, I think it does a disservice to the player to not post at least audio of these interviews so we can get some contextual tone. Because when you're reading, whether it's Shang or Pashelka or Max or whoever, when you read, Eklund saying, "I'm sick of losing," Is he being maudlin? Is he being defiant? Is he angry? So just my point being, remember that as I read this quote. Okay. Eklund goes to say, "Now it's just time to start building here. Me personally, I think it's time to stop losing. I want to win, and I'm sick of losing." And more from Pashelka, he said Eklund spoke with Mike Grier after the Zetterlund trade, and Pashelka said Eklund's not alone. A 6th straight year out of the playoff spot, last place again, another season in which handful of quality players are shipped to contending teams. have the fans and the players now wondering when things will start to turn around. And since the Zetterlund trade, Eklund has 1 point. Not saying that that's, cause and effect, just pointing out a fact. According to the Peshelka report, Eklund also said, "We lost a great teammate. We lost a couple of great teammates for sure. With Zets, we lost a competitor, and I've never seen anything like it. We lost a guy who wants to be here every day, wants to work hard every day. He was buying in on everything. Yeah, it's part of the business, but we're all sick of losing here, and I hope this was a move in the right direction." So it's refreshing to see a player, albeit subtly, kind of call out the front office, but it's also kind of scary when, not even a player appears to know what the hell the plan is.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the thing about this trade that bothers me, because Zetterlund, you look at what Zetterlund brings, and it should be like Mike Grier should love this guy.
Oh, you would think. Plays the right way, right?
Yeah.
Also from Peshelka's article, the Sharks have a host of young players to build around in Eklund, Askarov, Celebrini, Smith. All players Grier said wants to see take a step next season. Quote, "We expect those guys to keep getting better internally for sure." It's like, you always want to see guys getting better, but it's like, those are the guys that you're, calling out. Those are the ones that are driving the bus. Like, how much better do they need to be in comparison to everybody else? Like, you don't call out the defense, the bottom 6 guys you keep adding, the goalie that gives up 4 every game.
No, because none of those guys are going to be here when it's over. Right?
Fair point.
These are
Fair
the pieces
point.
they're building around.
All right. Fair point. That I'll give you. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of quizzical. Grier also hinted it might be time to start to dip into the prospect pool or use some of his numerous draft picks to get better sooner rather than later. Quote, "That's kind of the idea that this phase, hopefully for the most part, is over, of just sell, sell, sell. Now it's time to start building." And
Yeah, because selling's easy.
Well, selling's easy, but when I read that, I was like, what's left to sell, dude?
Well, that too. But selling's easy. And that's the thing with rebuilds, right? It's easy to just be a perpetual seller because selling's easy. You can always just sell.
I'm just worried
The
that
building's hard.
he might try to kickstart this thing a year too soon because he's starting to feel some pressure.
I think you have to, though. You can't just the thing is you can't just build it through the draft. You have to build it from multiple places, right? So yes, the draft is important, but it's not the whole picture. You still got to bring in guys in free agency. You still got to make trades.
Yeah. And I think we said it last season. And of course, what it reminds me of is every time a band puts out a new album, it's like, oh, I think this is the best album I've ever done, which is always bullshit. It's always bullshit. And I feel like last season at this time, or a year ago at this time, we were saying something to the point of this could be the most important offseason in the Sharks franchise history, right? Yep. And now I'm starting to go, maybe it's this offseason. You know what I mean? Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Mike Grier needs to go out this summer and just buy a mad fiend and try and put put this team in the playoffs next season, right? That's not what I'm saying. And I don't want anyone to get that confused. But they have to take a step forward at some point, right? And I know Gavin McKenna's a really good player, but I could probably, and then the next year it's DuPont, and there's another guy after that and another guy after that and another guy after that. At some point you have to take a step.
Yeah. But Bay saying, I'd rather build 1 year earlier than 1 year late. I get what you're saying, but I also don't want, Grier to make a dumb move because he's feeling pressure to okay, we got to kickstart this thing a year before I initially wanted to, what the plan is.
I think if the right guy falls into your lap in free agency,
absolutely.
Right? If the right guy falls into your lap, you do it, right? You look at
Joe Thornton in 05.
Well, not even that, but you look at if you look at other teams, right? The Rangers had Panarin fall into their lap. You jump on that, right?
Well, who's the guy who just basically fell into Dallas's lap?
Yeah, and then but you also, like, I'm just talking free agency, right? Like, Johnny Gaudreau signs in Columbus, rest in peace, obviously.
Yeah.
But like that was a that was a team that was building. But if a guy like Johnny Gaudreau wants to sign with you, you fucking sign him,
You damn skippy.
right? So that's what I mean. So like if the Sharks, if some guy like that falls into your lap, you 100% fucking do it.
We have a question from Michael here. It says, with the Zetterlund trade, do you think that Grier is planning Musty and Chernyshov being on the team next year? Is that why Zetterlund was moved out? And on top 6 hunting this offseason, maybe Besser or Ehlers?
Yeah, I think, like, again, if you can get a guy like Nick Ehlers or Brock Besser that kind of fall into your lap in free agency, I think you definitely probably pull the trigger there to try and like build the team. As far as like Chernyshov, like he's doing really good in the Ontario Hockey League, but is the Ontario Hockey League, and he is absolutely a man amongst boys in that league.
Oh, dude, he's a Ferrari among Yugos right now.
Pretty much, right? Like I always like the jump from playing in the Ontario Hockey League to the NHL is very, very big. Yeah. And I just think that, like, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from being excited about the prospects. I'm excited about the prospects too, but I think you have to have reasonable expectations for the change in just pace between the OHL and the NHL. Like, it's a completely different game. I think those guys will definitely get a shot to make the team out of camp. But if they don't, like, I don't think that's the end of the world either. I don't think anyone should be super panicked about it. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Callie Cruisen, if Grier brings Zetterlund back in the offseason before he signs a new contract.
He's an RFA. He can't unless he offer sheets him.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be
interesting? No.
Wouldn't that be like
no,
what a tacit admission of
Fabian Zetterlund? Jesus.
No.
Like
it'd be such an admission of I fucked up.
But like you don't correct that error by throwing him a huge fucking offer sheet and giving up draft capital to do it. Like, that's just insanity.
Speaking of insanity, during the Sharks Predators game, some dude lost his shit on Sharkie. Really? Really? I mean, okay, so I have so many questions.
Okay.
But dude is in the disabled section, clearly doesn't appear to be disabled, perhaps mentally, if you're going to fuck with a mascot.
Yes.
The story from the account at SF Giants Memes, who posted the video, quote, context, Sharkie came over to sit next to this guy. The guy fell back in his chair, blamed Sharkie. It clearly wasn't Sharkie's fault, and then tried to fight him. So it's, I don't know, like, did Sharkie sit down and it like scared him and so that threw him back? Like, I don't understand. But, you know, the things that popped in my head, I'm like, number one, you must be having the worst day of your life if you're losing your shit on a mascot. Two, is there a faster way to get kicked out? I don't know if he was, but I would have thought he would be. The other thing, bro, be thankful this wasn't the old Sharkie, because you would have been taken out on a stretcher. I'm telling you. And the thing is had this guy been cool about it, and Sharkie likely would have like recognized, oh shit, my bad, and probably would have brought him back some swag or something.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh, but the retweets. Okay. First, one of the retweets, it's like, true story, this mascot once took my entire purse and ran off. Which begged for me the question, can you take less than an entire purse? I don't know.
Sharks Glass, I talked to a blue coat about it. The hug being a spectrum will say he had issues with being touched. Yep, that makes sense. I get that.
Okay, but God, I mean, if the whole thing is, if your jam is that you have issues being touched and it makes you violent, perhaps going to things that have 17,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting if you're sitting in those seats specifically, though, like it's I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm just saying I understand it. If
Well, then
behavior he was seated,
and if that's the case, again, I get it.
Yeah.
But maybe, and like I'm going to get in so much trouble for what I'm about to say because it will be taken out of context. But I think the sentiment is there, even if I
Sure.
don't illustrate it correctly. There are dogs that are in training to be working dogs, to go with. We saw, what was it, Finn? We had that dog that the Sharks adopted, and their whole thing in life is to go through all the training.
Yep.
To become, a working dog for a human who needs to be with somebody who is disabled, and they constantly have a vest that says, please don't pet me. I'm a working dog or whatever. If that's your case, that you have a problem with physical touch, maybe that's something that we need to have out there that says, hey, if somebody's wearing an orange vest or whatever, maybe you work to not fucking touch them. Or something like that. Like
I don't know. I think it's just like, I don't like being touched. Don't touch me. Like, I don't think I need to wear a vest. Just like,
but
make
I
sure
mean,
cool.
it's the mascot does all sorts of goofy shit.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's an unfortunate situation. There's obviously no way Sharkie would have any way to know. I'm not justifying the reaction. I'm just saying I understand it.
Marty saying that's my reaction when I see Sharkie wearing Fanatics. Let me see. Let me see. What's the Sharks last was there? She knows. Blue Coats had a meeting. It was a quote sticky situation, but the guy was escorted out. Yeah. Well, when you threaten an employee, I don't get I don't care if you're on the spectrum, what your glitch is. When you threaten somebody like that, you're gonna get the boot.
Yeah, again, like I don't want to come off like I am justifying what this guy did, because it's unacceptable. It's a disproportionate response. I just understand it.
Yeah. Some of the other quotes, and this is all from people who have no idea, what's going on. They just saw the video.
Right?
So another guy said, laugh my ass off. If you get genuinely upset at a mascot, you definitely have a micro penis. Somebody else put, this is the most action you'll see at a Sharks game, which I thought was pretty cool.
It's true. Yeah.
That was clever. Another guy said, dude going to end up in Santa Clara County jail because he tried fighting a shark. Somebody else, this is me when we're down 4-0 against the Flyers and Gritty gets in my fucking face about it.
I was going to ask, maybe, can this guy play defense?
Right? And then finally, quote, this guy probably goes to toy stores to rip the heads off teddy bears.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of energy. But hey,
for sure.
The good news, the video got that shitty AM sports station here to mention the Sharks on their social media. Because, chasing clicks and catering. They're chasing clicks because they're fucking cratering in the ratings. But to his credit, Sharkie made a big deal of the usher during the following game, like had a big hug and my hero and all of this. And what's funny is I ended up talking to that usher at the end of the Chicago game, and she was just laughing about the whole thing, like the guy's reaction and then like Sharkie's response and everything. And she's just, another day in utopia here.
Yeah. No, I mean, good. Like I think it's an absolutely unfortunate situation. The response is disproportionate to the offense. It's it's not good. Like I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to say that I justify it. I don't. I think it's a disproportionate response. I understand the response.
Yeah. And then Sharks last saying, Sharkie brought the Blue Coat a gift bag, calling her my queen. It was nice, positive.
Yeah, I mean, good for him.
So, let's talk about something that's not positive.
No. This whole show, no.
Yeah. Logan Couture missed photo day, and you would have thought that was, some sort of the worst thing you could possibly do, the most offensive thing on the planet.
I mean, I don't understand. Like, I get it. I understand. So
See, I
understand
don't.
that people are upset that
I
this
don't.
team doesn't have a captain, because no one, if you don't have the C on your chest, you can't lead. That's the rules. I don't make them up.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's apparently how this works. So without the C, there's no one to actually lead the team in the locker room.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's
Anyway.
sad. It's really sad.
Dude, no, the last time I saw this much nonsense on social media about photo day was when some fool made up a bunch of shit when Evander Kane missed the team photo. But hey, it gives us something to talk about. I'm not really sure why some people lost their shit over this. You know, is his presence in the team photo going to suddenly turn the season around? I don't think so.
He hasn't played a game this year. Like, are you upset that if you're going to buy a team photo this year, Logan Couture's not in it when he has sat the entire season at home?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. It's like he hasn't played a goddamn game all season. Should he even be in the photo?
Yeah.
Before we get back to this, Marty's saying, AJ, what do you mean the other Sharkie? There can only be one. No. I said the previous Sharkie. If I said the other Sharkie, that's my bad. No, the previous Sharkie. And let's see, Taylor coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Taylor. Appreciate that. Question: in the upcoming draft, would you rather have a defenseman, Matthew Schaefer, or a winger, Victor Eklund?
So if you're drafting first overall, Victor Eklund is a massive reach at that position, in my opinion. So Matthew Schaefer is the guy that you probably take, because not only is he the best player compared to a lot of scouts. I don't think he's that much better than the other guys, but I think that I will go with the people that do this professionally. He's the best player available at number one, and it also fits a giant need for your team. Victor Eklund would be a nice guy to pick up, but you would have to move some picks around to get into that range. You can't take him first overall. That would be malpractice.
Yeah, somebody's getting fired for that. So Misa or Schaefer. What was the Skyler Puck guy? Can you confirm? Skyler saying the Sharks have just been officially eliminated from the playoffs. So there must have been a game that just went final that made all the math work out. But anyway, let's get back to the Couture thing.
They were eliminated in October. I just let you know.
It was mentioned that Logan had personal obligations that kept him away. I don't know what they are because it's none of my damn business.
Yeah. Hank, just to quickly hit on this before we move on. Hank asking, where does Victor Eklund get picked? Any chance career moves up to Snag? I mean, maybe that's what he would have to do. Like, you'd have to move some picks around to get up. I think he's going to go like 5 to 10, somewhere in that range.
But we're not doing this to placate William.
No. Yes, all the brothers must play together. No,
right.
They don't. I mean, look at Swedish brothers playing together worked really well for Vancouver, but
still didn't get a cup.
Still didn't get a cup. Yeah. I don't think you okay, look at, I understand we traded Zetterlund and we sent him to Ottawa, which means he's basically dead. But here's your brother. Be happy now. Like,
right?
No.
So anyway, we don't know what Couture is doing behind the scenes. So we're not going to talk like we're not going to talk like we do.
Sitting at home.
Yeah. But the interesting thing though that I will point out that I did note is that when Kane missed the photo, they did have an empty chair and shopped him into the photo later, and there was no empty chair for Logan this week. I'm not.
Yeah, because he hasn't been there. I love Logan Couture, but fucking hell.
Yeah, it's like he's not played a single game. Why should he be in the photo? I think that's a fair question. But to see people lose their shit over it was just do you really have nothing better to do this week?
Have you watched this team play?
Well, and who knows? I'm he's somewhat recently married. I think he just had his second kid not too long ago. Yeah. I mean, not him, his
at home
wife,
being a dad, living his best life. I look at it's would this team be better with Logan Couture on it? Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
But this isn't a situation where he's just no, I don't feel like playing. He can't play. Logan Couture is a gamer, man. If that guy could play, he would play. I have no doubt in my mind that if he could go, he would 100% go. But he can't. So he's at home with his kids, living his best life. I don't and we're going to be mad about it. I guess so, because we're Sharks fans. We're mad about everything. But I can't find the rage for this one.
Celebrini 17 SJ saying, so are we just keeping Logan on IR the rest of his contract? Is that allowed?
Yeah,
As far as
if he
I
can't
know.
play, he can't play. Like they might not even put him on the IR because again, the cap floor is a thing, and you might need his contract just to hit the floor.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. It's irresponsible to have a kid if you're not working. Good Lord.
It's true. Yeah, you know what? I'll give you that. But he's
getting
listen,
paid.
But he's getting paid. Like insurance is paying. He is injured. He is an injured player. He is still getting paid. It's not like he just like said, "Fuck it, I'm out," and like listen, wife, go make some money because I'm not. Like he's getting his money.
Okay, now, and I do like this question because, and I think this is a great question because no one ever talks about it. Sharks Last wants to know, why is the team photo taken after the deadline? It bugged me this year because so many of the guys that actually played for the team aren't in it. You know, that you think about it, Sturm, Vitek, I mean, Blackwood, so many guys. Like, why don't they take the team photo during
at the start of the year?
Yeah, like after the day after opening, the first game at home.
That's a good question. I wish I wish I had an answer for you. I don't. I think it's just a dumb NHL thing that they do. I think it's because I think when you're taking team picture, right, like you're looking at the team that is hopefully going to, after the trade deadline, is the team that's going to carry you to the promised land, or for the San Jose Sharks, the team that is going to play a bunch of games until the season mercifully ends.
Yeah, see, I think like this might not be the answer, but I think it's the best shot we got. Sharks Last is they want to be able to sell a picture that has everybody in it who won the cup, whatever team that is. You know what I mean?
Or at least went to the playoffs, like because obviously, like, there's a cup photo after with the cup.
Callie Cruzen saying they do it at the end of baseball, towards the end of baseball season too. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's probably just a tradition thing, right? I don't understand it. I wish I had a better answer.
I totally believe it has to do with the marketing and say, it's like selling that photo if the team wins the championship. You know what I mean?
Brisbee Life saying, let's be real, Couture wouldn't be on this team if he was healthy. I
mean,
he
would have been traded.
He would maybe. I guess he's down to his no trade now? I don't think he has a full no move anymore.
Oh, I don't know. That's something.
But I mean, Vlasic's still here, so.
Yeah, that's true. Fire up Puckpedia, get it done. All right, stock up for the boys. Let's see here. In 3 games this week, Collin Graf, 3 points in 3 games, including a game winner, averaged a point per game over the last 13, leads the team. That's not right. Averaged a point per game over the last 13 game, leads the team. That is Smith. Somehow my rundown got some things mixed up. Either way, so Smith also 3 points in 3 games. And what can you say? Both of them had a great week. And I'll even shout out for stock up the penalty kill. Over the last 5 games, they allowed no power play goals during the last 4 chances over their last 2 games, after previously allowing 5 power play goals and 13 chances in the previous 3 games. So taking less penalties, but also not allowing any. So I'll shout out them. Any other shout outs for you for the positive stock up?
I just want to hit something quick here, just to go back on Logan Couture for a second, and then I'll do it. He has basically a no move clause. But it's not a no move. It's a 3-team trade list that he can submit. 3 teams that he can go to. So maybe he does get the hell out of here. Maybe he throws Vegas on there and goes and joins Hurdle. All right. Stock up for me. Yeah, I mean, Collin Graf's a great shout. I think he's been, he's been really good this week. I also liked, I haven't really, I know you've been shouting out Mukhamadullin, but other than the Washington game where I don't think he was great, but no one was great, and he still played the most minutes in that game of any defenseman. So I've liked what Mukhamadullin has done for the most part. Yeah, he had a rough game against Washington, but so did everyone else. And again, like he was on the ice more than any other defenseman in that game, which I think is obviously he's earning the trust of the coaching staff, which is pretty good, because I think there is times where a lot of people are like, well, how much do they really trust him? And I think it's shown that they trust him a lot. It didn't work out, but I wouldn't put that all on Shakir Mukamadulin though.
Yeah. Well, and
Right?
Bandit asking if my because I had the notes between Graf and Smith conflated. It's like, did you get those from NBC? Stock down. I think this one is pretty easy. Georgiev, that brain fart versus Nashville. You cannot make that. If you're, in your first 5 games, maybe. But the experience that cat has, you don't get that. And then you got pulled versus Washington. And I know that Pashelka said, might not be so much of an indictment on Georgiev's game as it is a wake-up call for the team. And I'm like, can't both things be true?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think both things can be true in that point, because I don't think it, again, like, it's hard to hang that game on Georgiev at all, because again, the whole team was bad. Like, it was funny because I was looking at the stat line after that game, and the entire forward group was a -1. The entire forward group was a -1 that game, which was hilarious, right? Like, just, yeah, I mean, it was a bad game. Georgiev certainly didn't get any help, but he didn't do anything to help himself either.
No, not at all. Chris saying, stock down on Celebrini, only 1 goal. Lazy bastard.
He's been fine though. Look at Macklin Celebrini. Fuck. Macklin Celebrini.
Sense the sarcasm.
There's no place for that fucker to hide right now, right? That's the thing. That's the thing with the way that the season's ending too, is we're gonna see like these rookies, like, there's nowhere to hide for them now. Like, they are it. The offense goes through them. There's no sheltering any of these guys. They've had to move. And Graf, to his credit, again, has actually moved up the lineup, because he was playing in the bottom 6 for to start the week, and he ended up on the top 6. So again, like, none of these guys are getting sheltered. These guys are playing brutal minutes against the best of the other team's lineup,
and playing in the longest season of their career. You know what I mean? Like, the Smith and Celebrini, they don't play seasons this long, until this year. So there's already been, a decent amount of talk. Like, let's see how the boys look, because by now they're done.
Mm-hmm.
So to play all this extra hockey, and they've, no worse for the wear so far. Also, stock down Warsofsky. Dude, how do you not start Romanov this week? Get that. And I'm just going to say it. I'm going to keep harping on it for the rest of this season until he sees a bench. Again, Goodrow. I've said it last week. I'll say it again. I don't understand bringing back a player you didn't think was good enough to keep in the first place. Like Friesen, Ozelinch, Hannon,
Stewart.
I
mean, not good enough to keep in the first place. Someone gave you a first-round pick for Barclay Goodrow. You take it and run to the bank every time.
No, I get that. But if you think that, a player is super awesome, they can offer you the moon, you don't give it up. And my point being, though, is every single person, Friesen, Ozo, Hannon, Stewart, Goodrow, none of them played better upon their return. And those are all ones that the Sharks drafted. There's also like Jamie Baker and Jim Norton, Bob Airy, Aaron Dell. Point remains. Their second time around, not as good as their first.
They're older.
Of course. But that's my point, And then also stock down, it's going to be the power play, because after scoring 4 goals on 9 opportunities over the last 3 games, the power play went 1 for 7. Figure it out. Any other stock downs or anybody you want to pile on?
Everything. Like, everyone stock down the whole fucking team. Like, this again, like, it's that game against Washington was so bad that, like, there's no one should escape unscathed from that game. I think that there's a lot of stock down to go around there.
Then we'll head over to Calder watch for a hot second. So last I looked, Celebrini has 50 points over 56 games. That is good for 0.89 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Hutson 51, so 1 point better, but he's also played 9 more games.
Yeah, you know what Celebrini does though? He scores goals. He scores 21 of them.
But he's not doing what Hutson is doing in the East since Lidstrom and blah blah blah. And since since we brought it up last week, Celebrini's lost 0.01 points per game, while Hutson gained 0.03.
Look, at Lane Hutson's really good, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Lane Hutson. He's really, really fucking good. You know what the hardest thing to do in the NHL is?
Score
fucking
goals.
goals.
I
And
feel
Macklin
you.
does it.
And that's the thing. Will we see him get rewarded for it? We'll find out. Let's move on to the NHL just for a quick second, because I have a question for everybody in the chat. I don't know if Puck Guy wants to start a poll, but is this called leaving your feet? I just want to know. When you come from the top rope in Utah, I got to know. This might be the photo of the year as far as I'm concerned. Man, is that leaving your feet? I know.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. The best, his best Roman Reigns impression. It's amazing.
I love how Remenda's like, you can't leave your feet, which I agree with. But as soon as I saw that photo, I went, yeah,
your feet can absolutely leave the ice though. And
yeah,
sure did. Wow. Yeah. That photo is so fantastic, man. Yeah. Guy doing his best Roman Reigns. I love it.
Oh, dude, that needs to be in Dangle's blue room. You know,
Yeah.
that needs to be a poster.
Yeah, give that photographer a raise. I agree. That is such an amazing picture.
No doubt. All right, let's move on to that other team.
God, do we have to?
Yeah, kind of do.
Ooh, Barracuda.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so the Barracuda earlier today fell to 6th place.
Yes, they did.
They are doing everything they can to that noise you hear, the beep, 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 that's the Barracuda backing into the playoffs at this point.
It's bad.
Dude. All right, so a pair versus Tucson, and in both games, the Barracuda gave up 6 goals. For those of you playing at home, that's not good.
Yeah.
In the first game, former CUDA captain Andrew Agazzino scores a natural hat trick against the former club. Gushin had a primary assist on all 3 of the CUDA goals, and Cagnoni helped out on 2. Carrier stopped 28 of 32, but again, a 6-3 loss. Then in game 2 played earlier today, the Barracuda had this one.
They did.
They pissed it away. Gushin, Podorowski, Cagnoni all have multiple point games. I mean, great weekend for Cagnoni.
Sure. Yeah.
And then great weekend for Podorowski. He breaks the CUDA franchise goal record. Not only leads the AHL in points, has also set a franchise record for points in a singular season at 62. Yes. So good weekend for those guys, but it's all about wins. And right now the Barracuda have a real hard time finding those.
I mean, this team again. Fuck it. It's so sad. Again, you could take clips of things that I've said previously on this team and put them into the show, and no one would be fucking wiser, except that I'd probably be wearing something different. So they might catch on there. So look at that. The first game there, it was a frustrating watch, because you watched how they played against Washington, and then the Barracuda came out and basically started their game the same way. Looked absolutely brutal to start the game. And then, the Roadrunners get up, and the Roadrunners are a team that's chasing them, and they picked up 4 points on the Barracudas to the Barracudas 1. So the Barracuda have had a lead over this team that now is evaporated to 3 points. Right. And then the Condors, who are also trying to chase and trying to get in that last playoff spot. Let me just check my math here quick. They're not very far behind either. I had the standings up and then I accidentally closed them. So let me just bring that up quick. The Condors, to start the day, like they are 6 points behind the Barracuda. So,
and they play twice against the CUDA next weekend.
Right. And this is what keeps happening, right? Because the Barracuda last weekend, we were talking about, I think they were playing Abbotsford, a team that they were chasing, and it was a 4 point swing. And then This weekend, they, a team that's chasing them, they don't take care of business and they let Tucson get within 3 points. And then you're 6 points ahead of the Condors and they're going to come in and play a couple of games. And if you lose both of those, well, there's another 4-point swing. Like the Barracuda could find themselves by the end of the season. They have 14 games left on the season and they could very easily find themselves on the outside looking in when this is all over, because again, this is a team that hasn't won with any consistency since since I think at the end of November basically was when things kind of went off the rails and they haven't been able to put it back on. Now, granted, they've had players get called up, and that does
but
play
this
a factor,
isn't like last season.
No, that's what I mean. And that was the point I was going to make, is that, yes, okay, so they don't have the guys that they had to start the season. Obviously, Collin Graf is up there, and he's going to stay up there until the playoffs, if the playoffs happen. Shakir Mukamadulin, same thing. But like there's still enough guys on this team that I don't think that this record is good or this record is appropriate.
Like
for this team.
I understood last year, because a lot of guys got called. It was a lot of, let's see what we got here. This year, I'm not buying any of that call up excuse bullshit.
No, because they brought in veteran guys to help stabilize the team. It wasn't like last year where they were playing a bunch of, like, their blue line was a bunch of guys who probably belonged in the ECHL playing in the AHL.
Right.
That's not the case this year.
No. And it's like, if you're telling me that this entire team, it hinges on the health of Askarov and Mukamadulin and Graf being down there, you got bigger problems.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, like those guys would absolutely help, but but again, like there were stretches where those guys were there and they were still playing 500 hockey or worse.
So, we kind of mentioned it, and I can't remember if we were on at this point or not, but at what point, like, if what you said happens and they end up being outside looking in,
that's a fireable offense. Someone has to get fired.
Yeah,
it's unacceptable.
I don't understand how McCarthy isn't given a pink slip, and if he isn't, then Joe Will needs to be given one for incompetence.
I would completely, if I was Mike Grier, like, and I'm looking at this team and I'm seeing what this team has done this year, I'm cleaning house.
Yeah. Completely agree.
That's me. I mean, I don't run the Sharks, though, unfortunately. But yeah, if I'm Mike Grier, I am cleaning house after this season, especially if they somehow find a way to miss the playoffs again.
All right.
It's 7 teams. Like 7 teams in the Pacific Division make the playoffs out of 10 teams. Like, if you're not one of those 7 teams,
you fucked up somewhere.
What are we doing?
Yeah. This week the CUDA will play 3. They host San Diego midweek and then play a pair in Bakersfield against the Condors, as we just mentioned. I do want to know, what is this odd scheduling quirk where they play San Diego like every other Wednesday?
Yeah, I know.
Like, seriously, dude,
San Diego's a team that they should beat.
But there are 4 Wednesdays in March, and the CUDA play the Gulls on 3 of them.
I know. Yeah, I don't understand the one-offs in San Diego.
That's so weird.
The Barracuda have not beat the Gulls. Like, the San Diego Gulls are a team that the Barracuda should absolutely beat, and they haven't for the most part. And that's troubling. And again, like you said, like I was saying earlier, like, you got teams that are chasing you. I don't think the San Diego Gulls are gonna get back into this thing. They haven't been good enough against teams that aren't the Barracuda. But again, there's another team that's more points behind. Like, I think, they're a little bit further behind. But again, there's another 2 points there that if they don't take care of business, if Tucson keeps winning, then they're going to get passed. And if the Condors take 4 points in that thing, and then they get that much closer. Like the Condors are kind of, right on the outside looking in, and by a bunch of points, but you give them 4 points.
Yeah. Well, and
like, the Barracuda will have, if the Barracuda don't make the playoffs, the moral of the story is that the Barracuda don't make the playoffs, they have no one to blame but themselves.
Absolutely. And one of those people I would be blaming is McCarthy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like, you can't do, if we had only had Askarov more, fuck off.
Well, yeah, I mean, would that help? Obviously, that would help. Like,
Sure,
I'm not going to
but
say that doesn't matter, but that shouldn't give John McCarthy a pass.
exactly. And it's, because you get guys like Warsofsky saying things like, look, if you make mistakes, we can live with a brain fart or a bad pass or something. If we can see that you're giving your all and you're leaving it all out on the ice, all the other cliches, we can at least live with that. But it's like, I don't want to hear any of the excuses. Well, it's like, well, we're going to, we think if McCarthy would have done better if he had Askarov in the net. And it's like, yeah, so would I.
I don't want to hear it. Like,
exactly.
I don't want to hear it though. Like, because again, like if you go back at the way this team, like their defensive structure, you go back to the Barracuda's other biggest problem, which is also themselves, by the way, the way that they parade themselves to the penalty box on a regular basis and, give the other team a bunch of power. Like this team is their own worst enemy, and it continues to be so. If they miss the playoffs, they're gonna have no one to blame but themselves, and they have no one to blame but themselves for the most part for the position they're in. So, I am all out of sympathy for the Barracuda at this point, unfortunately. Like, even if they make it, like, do you think they're gonna win 5 playoff rounds? Because there's a playoff round there's a play-in round in the AHL, like.
No.
You think they're going to win 5 rounds of hockey? You have to, I guess if they win the first game and they continue playing 500 hockey, they just have to win the first game and they'll be fine. They'll get through the first best of 3. But like, I don't think that, I don't think winning the first game and then hoping that you can play 500 for the rest is a recipe for success in the AHL playoffs.
So, the good news. Because I feel like this whole show has been like, this sucks, but here's some good news. And this also really sucks, but here's something cool. For Prospect Watch, this is something kind of cool. Igor Chernyshov, 44 points over 19 games with Saginaw. Dude, 2.32 points per game is just sick. And
it's obscene.
What's funny, though, is that this week, 3 games, 0 points -2, 0 points even. But then yesterday, 1 goal, 3 assists.
Yeah.
And
one of those games was against London. Like, the thing with Saginaw is they are an okay team, and Igor Chernyshov has definitely made them better. But like, I don't think Saginaw is going to be like, I think if the Barracuda can get in the playoffs and actually survive for a period of time, there's I can definitely see Chernyshov getting some games with the Barracuda on the but because I don't think Saginaw is going to be long for this world in the playoffs. As good as I think they are, they're not that good. Like they're a one-line team basically. There's Misa Chernyshov and they have Zane Parik on defense, who is a really good defenseman, and I think that I think Calgary drafted him, and they're going to love him.
Well, the Puck Guy also noting that today, I guess, he also had 4 more points, so now it's 48 and 20.
Yeah, I think that when you see the points that he's putting up, like it does kind of overshadow how good this Saginaw team isn't, in my opinion. Like they're not one of the teams to beat in the playoffs after winning the Memorial Cup last year. All roads go through London, and I don't think they have the horses this year to stop that. Like to go through London again. There's just, I don't see it.
Oh man. Let's hit a couple of questions. I'm trying to like do the questions, but also like some prospect watch. When would the prospects in juniors be able to join the CUDA?
They have to be done playing. They have to be done playing. They can't go to the CUDA until their season is over. Once you're assigned, that's a one-way trip. So as long as their season continues in junior hockey, they can't move up.
Do we know why Musty wasn't playing today? Also, the second time this week he didn't play.
I do not. I know he was suspended when I went to watch a game. He was suspended. Is he suspended again? I don't know. I haven't seen anything. So, I do try to keep up, but I'm not gonna lie. Like the only time I'm really on Twitter now is usually when the Sharks are actually playing. If the Sharks aren't playing, I'm probably not opening social media, and I miss a lot of this stuff because of it, unfortunately.
All right. I should also note yesterday in that game with Saginaw,
Mhm.
Chernyshov did miss in the it went to overtime, went to the shootout. He did miss. Misa won it, and it with a sick move.
Yeah, Michael Misa is sick. Like if for some reason the lottery balls don't work in the Sharks' favor,
If they hit
and
one or two, they're it's going to be good.
yeah, it's good. They could get screwed by the lottery balls completely, and I still think they get a good player because I like the 4 players. Like Schaefer definitely fills a need, right?
That's the whole thing. Just give me one of those first 2.
But even if the lottery balls completely fuck them somehow, and let's say they're drafting 3, they're still getting like all the 4 top players. I really like all of them. I like Misa, I like Schaefer, I like Martone, I like Hagens. I would not be mad at any of those players.
Puck Guy and Skylar both saying Musty dealing with the upper body.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Sorry, yeah, I apologize, guys. I can't quit Twitter. I've tried. I can't completely quit it. But like I definitely limit the amount of time I spend on there because it's just a fucking cesspool now.
All right, so moving on from Chernyshov, we go to Quentin Musty, 59 points in 33 games with Sudbury, 1.79 points per game this week. First star, 2 goals, 2 assists, +1. In the second game, did not play. Third game this week, 1 goal, and then obviously earlier today did not play. So
yeah,
dealing with something, but still got a first star this week.
Yeah, and Sudbury, the conference that Sudbury's in is really weak, so it'll be interesting to see how far Sudbury makes it. But again, I think that Sudbury could be a pretty quick out also. So if you're looking for like the Barracuda to get some reinforcements, I don't think the Sudbury Wolves are going to be long for this world in the playoffs either. But they're in a very weak conference, so maybe they do. We'll see.
Yeah. So just like the sign that hangs above my toilet, make shit happen.
Yeah.
Sam Dickinson had a fucking week.
Yeah, Sam Dickinson, we're not going to see. The Barracuda will be long dead before Sam Dickinson makes it anywhere near them. The London Knights are an absolute wagon. They are probably going to be, I think they're the favorite to win the Memorial Cup this year. I think this London team, when I watch them, when I've seen them, they have been so fucking good. I think that they're going to have a long playoff run ahead of them, and we're not going to see Sam Dickinson this year, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, well, 85 points in 53 games with London, 1.6 per game. This week, let's see. Second in the first game, second star, 2 goals, 1 assist, +3. The next game, 1 goal, +1. The next game, third star with 2 assists. And then I believe earlier today, 2 assists, -1, but tied the franchise record for most points by a defenseman in a single season. So, have a week, my dude.
Yeah, he's so good. Like, I love Sam Dickinson. I know that some people are going to point to the World Juniors and be like, "Oh, I don't know about this one." And I agree. He did not have a great World Juniors. But I think if you get the chance to like pick up a stream on the high seas to watch the London Knights play, like I would do that, because I think if you watch him play more games than just, again, like small sample size, right? Like I think the World Juniors can do a lot of good for a player, but it can also like way bloat their expectations of a player. The player I always go back to, who like I think is a good NHL player, but I think that the World Juniors like way overinflated his value, is a guy like Lawson Krause, right? He had just an unreal World Juniors, but like,
and then who?
Right. No, I still think he's a good player. Like he plays for Utah. He's a good player. But I think you can have players whose value gets way overblown by the World Juniors, and you can also have a bad tournament, and then like people are like, oh well, I don't know about this guy. I think the one thing you have to remember with the World Juniors is it is a small sample size of games, and things can go wrong for a guy, and I don't think it's indicative of who they're gonna be.
Well, and the thing we're always going to, of course, have to remember is Dickinson, his legacy over the next 5 years or so is, rightly or wrongly, is going to be tied with Bulliam.
Z Bulliam. Yeah, I think they're different.
Yeah, but it's because the Sharks could have had either one. So,
they could have, like, look at, I like Z Bulliam too. Like I'm happy with saying, like, again, to me, this is what happened. The Sharks drafted Sam Dickinson. That's who they drafted. That's the way it is. Like, we can cry about Zeke William until the cows home, but the reality is Sam Dickinson is the guy we got. And I still think, like, comparison is the thief of joy, man.
You damn skimpy. This just coming through. If you remember, like a month and a half ago or a month ago, whatever it was, that there were like ridiculous fires that overwhelmed Malibu in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's just being reported there's like a 3.9 earthquake that just struck Malibu. So it's like their luck seems to be staying the same.
I mean, it's a 3.9. That's not terrible.
No, it isn't. But I'm just saying, it's like, geez, what is next? But like, get the fuck out of Malibu.
And for those
like
people,
a tidal wave coming
you
through.
live in Sault Ste. Marie. What do you know about earthquakes? Okay, look it. I lived in California for 2 years. I felt a couple earthquakes. I don't like them. I think they're awful. And they were very small earthquakes. Like a 3.9, it's nothing. It's nothing. might knock a picture off the wall. Big deal.
So we move on with a couple more names that are just, standing a little higher on the prospect list. Joey Muldowney, 42 points in 35 games with UConn, 1.2 points per game. Cam Lund, because, all your Lunds belong to us.
Yeah.
37 points in 35 games with Northeastern, 1.06 point per game. And then another call out, Haltunen, however you want to say it. Got first star with 2 goals in a game versus the Storm. And so this week had a goal.
The Storm are so bad.
Had first star and the 2 goals in that game, then posted a 0 and then posted a 0-4 earlier today because they got their asses handed to them a little bit today. But either way, we've got this group of prospects that we're seeing put up some really great numbers. Obviously, those leagues aren't the same. Mm-hmm. But what would you want? Your draft pick absolutely dominating the shit out of the league they're in, or doing marginal,
Yeah, no. I mean, look at guys who don't put up points in juniors aren't going to put up points anywhere else. Like, and that's where, like, if you look at a guy like Osterchuk, not to go back to him and hammer this dead horse, but like, generally speaking, if a guy is going to put up points in, you want them to put up points in lower levels of hockey, and he's put up not many points in any level of hockey, which is why when people are like, oh, he's going to be the third line, is he? Because the doesn't look like it. You obviously you want guys putting up points in juniors because it gets harder from there, right? So if they can't put up points in lower levels of hockey, then they're not going to put up points in higher levels of hockey. That's just how this shit works.
Yeah. Felix posting, I'm still awaiting the big one. I'll take quotes from AJ's wife for 500, Alex. So follow Tealtown USA, Ian, Jules, Lacey on Twitter for those live tweets, occasional gifts during some of the CUDA and some of those lower league games every once in a while. I'll tell you. The other thing I just wanted to mention before we get out of here, I was watching. Any idea who the hell Saginaw played yesterday?
No, sorry, I do not.
Okay. So, but that was the game. I logged in when there was like, I don't know, 10 minutes left or something, and then it went to overtime in the shootout. But I will tell you, whoever was calling that Saginaw game, that dude should there should be guys in the pros that call games that should be looking over their shoulder, because this guy was really good. He was on top of it.
Yeah, and the sad thing is for those games too. Little peek behind the curtain here. It really sucks because like for a lot of those games, like they can only call the home games or they can call games in Flint, but most of those guys can't cross the border. So when they do games, usually for like the television, they'll send when the Greyhounds are playing in Saginaw, if you want to watch the game, like we have to hope that they kind of send it up here for us to watch. Otherwise they don't, you can't watch it on local television just because they can't, those guys generally can't cross the border.
Well,
to work, right? It's a green card thing. And like the team's not it's because it's minor hockey. They're not going to spend the money which really sucks because I think the Saginaw guys are great.
Dan saying it was the Windsor Spitfires. You're right. You're right.
Windsor, yeah.
Same team that beat London today.
Yeah, Windsor can do some things. Again, like I think London is the team to beat. Like all teams lose at some point, but I still think London's the class of the CHL right now.
But just to, and Marty saying CHL has excellent broadcasting. I mean, dude,
they do.
Like I said, I was really impressed with that guy. And then earlier, I think it was just mostly the third period, I had it kind of on in the background. Whoever was doing the call for Tucson, I was not impressed. I'll just say that. The guy from the CHL was really good. Anyway.
Yeah, really good.
Coming up this
it was
week,
fun. Like they had the guy from the earlier, I think it was earlier this season. Fuck, this season feels like an eternity now. When the Barracuda were playing in Toronto, they had the guy from I think it was the Bulldogs did the call for the Barracuda in those games, and he was fantastic.
I dig it.
Was it this season? I guess it was. This season's fucking eternity at this point.
Coming up this week, the Sharks have an odd schedule. Talk about an eternity. 4 straight days off for the Sharks in 2 straight weeks. Figure that one out. I don't get it, but after 4 straight days, the Sharks will welcome in a 40-year-old Brent Burns in the Carolina Panthers.
Hurricanes.
Oh my God, Hurricane. See, I already want to move on to football.
I see that, yeah.
I can't believe I did that. It's so cool.
So good.
Yeah. So
at least you didn't put the graphic up, though.
Yeah, oh, dude, that would have been horrific. That would have been some NBC shit right there. So Brent Burns and the Hurricanes, who began the week on a 7-game heater. Oof. 8-2 over their last 10. And then following that will be a depleted Boston Bruins squad. Despite being second in the division at last look, Carolina does have a losing road record, though. And for the Bruins, they sold off some major pieces at the deadline with little hope of making a wild card spot. So with 4 days off for San Jose, and you got the I don't know, wannabe Brent
the Sharks
Burns.
have to play that game, though. Like, I don't think that's a game where you can, like, take off. The Boston Bruins, like, look at the results this season aren't good. Obviously, they're selling for a reason. But that's like, if the Sharks think that they're just gonna catch the Bruins sleeping, they'll be really fucking mistaken if they show up and start the game the way they did against Washington. They are gonna be in for a painful lesson against this Bruins team, because I still think, as depleted as it is, that team still plays with a lot of fucking pride, and they're not gonna get walked by the San Jose Sharks without a fight.
No. To me, it's like, just run the Brent Burns appreciation video and get it over with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that kind of does it. Again, I don't know that next week we're going to have a whole lot to talk about either with just 2 games, unless, I don't know.
Just no more quotes about how, like, we got fucked by in the Zetterlund trade, because I can't deal with 3 weeks of this fucking trade.
No, you know what it's going to be? Dude, I'm telling you, what the thing's going to be this week is it's going to be somebody on Reddit or whatever posting a photo that he's like, I'm in the same restaurant and Logan Couture's right next to me. If he can be here and eat food, how can he be on the ice?
Taken. God damn it.
If he can be here eating food, that guy, why can't he put on a uniform, man?
Yeah. Yeah, fuck that. Like, absolutely. That's gonna happen.
All right.
Logan Couture is out with his family. Can't do that.
How
Can't
dare
show up
that
for
dude.
a photo. Fuck that guy.
That's so irresponsible. All right. Remember to do that like and subscribe thing. It helps keep us commercial free when you use the super chat. Let's get it back here. Taylor did earlier today. So once again, thank you for that.
Yes.
We always appreciate Venmo more, of course, because we don't, get screwed on the, we get your whole donation is what I'm trying to say. So
Absolutely.
Find us on Venmo at TealTown.
I do have a
USA.
final thought before we go.
Yeah, let it rip, dude.
Okay, so I was going through the comments for last week's show, and Sharks Oregon, I think, was like, I was the one that said this. And I do want to say something, because I know, like, look at, we try to make good content. I'm very passionate about this team. I definitely do go to Discord, go to social media when I'm trying to look for, like, arguments to come up with to say about a trade, right? that shit is never personal. If you've said something on the Discord or on Twitter and you feel like I've centered out your tweet to make an argument the other way, I'm just trying to make good content. And like, I don't think less of you for disagreeing with me. I think that in general, as a society, we've lost the ability to disagree with each other. So like, don't ever, and I don't think Sharks Oregon did this, but don't ever, if I come up and if you made a point somewhere on the Discord, social media, whatever, and I come over here and try and tear it to shreds, I'm trying to make content, my guy. Don't ever take that personally. It's not. It's never fucking personal. Right? I'm just trying to make content.
No, if I talk about your mom, then it's personal.
Right, yeah. I don't want to say, like, if this fucker is, this fucker and his mom, he thinks this, and I don't think, if I disagree with you on the Sharks, I don't think less of you for it. That's it.
I think less of this team, but no.
Yeah. I think less of this team, but I never think less of you. So please don't ever take that shit person. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying, as a general, please, God, don't take that personally. It's never personal. I'm just making content, my guy.
All right. So let me see. Now, I like this before we get out of here. A guy and his dog says, Cuda could use some now blood is my thinking. It's funny you say that because I just happen to be having a blood orange drink right here.
There you go.
I like that. So find links to our social media, podcast apps, and more included in the show notes. You can find everything on tealtownusa.com. And with that, we wish you all a pleasant good night and a happy tomorrow.